To unpack these trends for us, we are joined by Babak Emamian, who is a respected political and economic analyst. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being here with us on Q News. So let's begin with those numbers. A year after taking office, Keir Starmer's approval has essentially collapsed. What do you think explains such a sharp decline?
Well, Mark, as you said, they are talking about confrontation. Now, confrontation only happens if you have no plan. And the problem with the British Labour Party and the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is because he has no plan. He has no plan for economy. He has no plan for the reindustrialization of the British industries. He has no plan on foreign policy. And most important thing, when you become a leader of a country, managing the country is not your priority because there is a very competent civil service there to do that. So your job as a leader of a country is to bring in money into the country, direct foreign investment. That's what President Trump is doing. And none of the European leaders, including the British Prime Minister, has committed to that task. That's why the economy is not doing well, and that's why the country has no direction right now.
Now, one striking figure is that only 49% of Labour voters, that's his own backing, the people that voted for him last time and would normally support his party, the Labour Party, only 49% of Labour voters from last year say that he's doing well. Is this going to be very damaging, this internal erosion of support by his own voters?
Well, right now, the economic growth, the UK economic growth is about 1% per annum. And that has been the average for the last 17 years. So, and just look at the inflation figure today at 3.5%. So if you look at it, the economy is growing at 1%. And the inflation is at 3.5%. So people are becoming poorer all the time. Now, the question is, his supporters went to him because they thought he would improve the economy. But obviously, he cannot improve the economy because he has no plan for it. But then what is the alternative for them? Unless they go to extreme left or in some cases to extreme right. But do the extreme left have any better policies? No, they don't. Would the extreme right have any better policies? No. The question is, there is no national debate about how to improve the economy. And the best way to improve the economy right now at no cost is deregulation. And nobody is talking about massive deregulation because deregulation means tax cut at no effect to anybody. Regulations are taxes. Deregulation means tax cuts. But there is no debate about that at all.
But wouldn't that mean if you start slashing taxes in order to try and bring investment into the country, one of the immediate problems with that is a black hole in your finances? Of course, there's a lot of expenditure in the UK, whether it be for the health service or for education and other parts of the economy. If you turn the United Kingdom into some kind of tax haven, wouldn't that be damaging overall for the country?
Well, the economy, if you look at it, we've had these debates for over 200 years. We had Adam Smith, who said a country is defined by its wealth makers. So a country without its wealth makers is nothing, is not a country. And then 100 years later, when Karl Marx said a country is its masses, so it belongs to masses. But now we understand, after actually experimenting both sides, the Adam Smith and Karl Marx, that actually a country is nothing without its wealth makers. And for the wealth makers to prosper, so the whole economy would prosper, we need low taxes. Low taxes attracts wealth makers. And wealth makers are a few. They are not produced all the time. They are wealth makers are people with talents. But the left of politics portray the people who are wealth makers as selfish people, greedy people, people who are bad for the society. They have low morals. We have to get over that class war, and we have to appreciate our wealth makers, and we need a low tax economy so more people become wealth makers.
And of course, they have had a problem, the Labour government have had a problem with billionaires and millionaires leaving the United Kingdom. Is this a worry for Labour if they can't attract business when one of their key their key objectives is for growth?
To answer your question, is two ways. One is the Labour members of parliament. No, it's not a worry to them because they don't understand economy. They have no appreciation that we need wealth makers. Ideologically, they're not there. They don't believe in wealth makers. And they think there is that abundance of wealth there. They can tax everything and there is unlimited resources. So just tax everything and redistribute wealth. So when it comes to actually the members of the parliament of Labour Party, no, intellectually they're not there. But the country will suffer. And a lot of people would understand because the economy is in decline right now.
That may be, and that of course the figures bear you out to what you're saying. But if there was to be a great tax burden reduction, and it takes some time for the wealth makers to come back into the country and to start businesses, in the meantime, there's going to have to be big cuts. What would you cut?
Well, the first thing I would cut is there is this institution in United Kingdom called FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, which has done nothing since 2008, but make house purchases more difficult than before, and also any transaction make it before. If we abolish Financial Conduct Authority, it would just improve the whole economy. The GDP would increase by 8%. There is this body of regulators, this body of people who are just, all they do is just regulate constantly on every transaction, do nothing but slow the economy. They slow the transaction between money. They slow the investment into United Kingdom. So the more we get rid of these institutions who were just set up just to regulate for no purposes, just to give comfort that there is some sort of regulations, we could get rid of all of them and the economy would improve. I can assure you, previous to FCA, we had no problem before. Now suddenly there is that issue. If there is no FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, suddenly the whole country would collapse.
Well, of course, let's go back to 2008. We had a lot of deregulation under New Labour in the United Kingdom in the 2000s. And then, of course, we had the 2008 crash and banks like the Royal Bank of Scotland being bailed out for billions and billions by the taxpayer. Is that the kind of deregulation that you'd like to see?
Okay, Mark, thank you for bringing that up. First of all, the whole idea that 2008 crash happened, it was because of the rating agency, United States, that they were awarding AAA to the bonds which were like triple C or triple D or junk bonds. So there was this injection of these toxic bonds into the financial system, which caused the collapse more than anything with the rating agencies. There was that issue. But even if you look at it, the whole cost of the financial collapse in 2008 was 147 billion. We've paid more towards the Ukraine war in 2022. We paid almost as much, a lot more in COVID. So the whole issue of even if there is a massive failure, economic failure, due to deregulation, it would be in a small amount of money and recoverable. So this idea of, wow, these 2008 was a massive, no, actually, when you look at it, it was only 147 billion, much less than the Ukraine war, which is costing us, and much less than the COVID, and also in that case, Brexit also.
So bailing out a few bankers isn't too much to pay. It's only a few hundred billion here and there, I guess. Let's just come to You mentioned
Mark.
Go ahead.
You have to give me here. That's an extreme case, by the way. That was an extreme case, and we haven't had that. The banks are self-regulators. They do extremely a good job.
Now let's come to you mentioned the far right party, the Reform Party, led by Nigel Farage, who some viewers may know. He's a good friend of Donald Trump. They're ahead in the national polls. Due to the parliamentary system in the UK, it's unlikely, or it could happen, but it would be a massive ask for them to become the next government. But they haven't got a surge in popularity, and immigration is a huge issue in the UK, as it is in many parts of Europe. What would you say about the growing love for Nigel Farage and the Reform Party?
Well, the only reason Nigel Farage is growing popularity is because neither the Conservative Party or Labour Party are offering any solutions to our problems. They have no new ideas, nothing. You hardly hear anything from either of them. Actually, President Trump has reshaped the geopolitics by totally concentrating on trade and prosperity. He's been doing that. And while the European leaders have been extremely busy on confrontation with Russia, they have this preoccupation with Russia. They just like constant hostility toward Russia, where Russia should be part of the Europe friends. Russia is Europe. And Russia is a big market for Europeans. And we want Russia to grow and become a big market for the Europe. But no, the European leaders love the hostility towards Russia because they still live with that Cold War mentality that Russia today is still the Soviet Union of 1980s and 70s, which is not true. Russia is more capitalist now, more than most of the countries. There is less regulation in Russia than it is in Europe.